It is Wednesday, September 21st. Welcome back to the Give and Go Show. As always, my name is Griffin Queen, and I'm joined by Matt Ferentinos and Matt Modi. We are the ones that put this together, that put the show on every single week. Hopefully, the ones that are entertaining you. Before we get into things, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're watching on YouTube, which is the only place you could be watching because we don't have this on any podcast platforms yet, make sure you click the like button. Make sure you click the subscribe button if you have not done so already. I gotta imagine that if you're watching us, you probably have already subscribed to us. We appreciate you for doing so. But if somebody shared this with you, if you're seeing it from search on YouTube, if you're seeing it off Twitter, off Instagram, whatever it is, however it is that you're seeing it, make sure you click the subscribe button. And then if you end up enjoying the episode, comment below. Let us know that you enjoyed the episode. If you end up hating the episode, comment below and let us know that you enjoyed the episode. Either way, let us know you enjoyed the episode.
And then let us know privately what you hated about it.
Sure. Yeah. Sneak in our DMs. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, either our personal accounts or the Give and Go account, which, good point, you can follow on Twitter and Instagram at Give Go Show. The past, 4 episodes at least, we've been doing regular season over-unders and talking about this upcoming 2022-2023 season. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today. We're not going to preview these teams as much, but we're going to talk about teams that we think might fall below expectations, ones that could potentially implode. We're going to talk about ones that could potentially exceed expectations. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA news. But before we get into that, Ferentinos, Modi, as always, I love to check in with you guys. What have you been up to? What have you been doing? If you haven't been doing anything, let me know. But Modi, let's start with you.
I haven't been doing much. I'm actually still nursing a calf injury. I'm very much feeling 30 with this darn lingering calf injury. So I haven't been able to exercise.
Somebody attacked your cows?
Gotta do some yoga, man.
Yeah, I remember the days of back when I was an athletic 24-year-old. I remember one time playing in a flag football tournament 19 degrees and kind of being oh, my groin's a little tight. The next day I was fine.
Was this flag football tournament in 19 degrees done in Arlington, Virginia?
No, yeah, I think we spoke at this tournament. Because I know you used to work for DC. What was it?
DC Frey.
DC Frey, yeah, DC Frey.
Hashtag.
Yeah. What was it? The Santa Bowl?
Maybe, I don't remember. It was at some random field. It was kind of on the border of DC and Arlington, but it was still in Arlington. But I didn't get the memo that
Longbridge. It's really nice, really nice turf field.
Yeah,
highly recommend people play soccer and football there. Don't play with DC Frey though. Play with literally anyone else.
I didn't get the memo that it was only advanced teams signed up for that tournament, and me and my just jabroni friends signed up hungover on a Saturday morning. Dude, this could be fun.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we got smoked every single game. We got smoked.
It's I tried to do that in college too, where it's all right, you think it's backyard football.
Exactly.
You just go out there. It's all right. And then we were getting called offsides. People were pulling Aaron Rodgers at the line shit. I was like, what are you doing? Are you seriously what's the fake hike? I forgot what it's called. I don't know why I can't think of this, but yeah, but it's they're literally doing all that stuff. They have design plays. The quarterback was wearing a fucking sleeve. I was like, all right, I guess this is what you have time for. I just wanted to come out and play bullshit football. But...
Yeah, I was burping up tequila, and they were calling out hot reads, like playing a zone defense and stuff.
Mario hat, ISO him.
Yeah. Ferentinos has heard me complain about this at length. I'm not in that industry anymore. I haven't been in that industry in about 5 years, and I don't miss it for 1 second. But my buddy Jared and I, we talk about this stuff all the time. We can't get past our trauma for working for a company like that. And it's not even necessarily the company and the CEO, although it is absolutely the company and the CEO, but it's the people that congregate in these leagues. It's 90% fun guys, having a good time, drinking beer, pretty girls, going out to the bars afterwards, making friends, all that shit. And then there's 10% of those people. And there's, these are big leagues, particularly in the DC area. It's tens of thousands of people. So 10% is still, a couple thousand people that are the worst human beings that you can imagine. And who think if they have a good performance at their flag football league or at their kickball league or at their softball league that they're going to make it to the actual league.
There are scouts
they
here.
think they're going to the NFL. They think they're going to the MLB. They think they're going to go play Korean baseball. Like, you're not. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. The ship has sailed. You're 35. You're balding. You've got a gut. It's not going to happen for you.
And you just yelled at your wife.
Game and
for not making a catch.
You brought your dogs and they're shitting all over my field right now, and I'm not having a great time. And you're yelling at me, and I'm hungover.
Yeah, I literally remember playing a kickball league.
I didn't expect to be this riled up this early in the episode. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. I did not know that we were going to talk about this. I get riled up about this very easily.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I'm in a soccer league now, which is totally fine. The people are cool. Like everything is good about it. Good. Like, but just tweaked my calf, and it just hasn't gotten better. It's just the injuries just don't heal like they did when you're younger.
Is that why you said when we planned on not recording yesterday, were you able to record because you were not going to soccer, or is your season over?
The former, because I still can't play.
Well, that's look, I respect that. I respect you understanding your limits and not going out there and injuring yourself more. I think we're at the age where, and I think all of us are 30, correct? Yeah, all of us are 30. We are no longer at the point in our lives where we can just shake it off the next morning and just fucking truck through injuries and be completely fine at the bar the next night. Like, if you get hurt at this point and you don't let it rest and you don't rice it and take care of it, you're gonna tear something or you're gonna break something. And then you're gonna have to have like surgery.
I don't think I'll ever do a max lift for the rest of my life. I think that those days are over.
I've done that since college.
Yeah.
It's probably like the summer after college. And Ferentinos remembers this. We were both in really good shape. He stayed in really good shape. I became A shape. We were both pretty strong at that point in our lives. And I was like, you know what? I think this is it. I think this is the peak. I'm ready to fall off.
We're going downhill.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. And like, I'm tall. So like that equals being handsome. I don't need to stay in shape.
Whatever you got to tell yourself.
That's it. That's
what
I got to tell myself.
I imagine this is the pep talk you give yourself in the morning. Like, you're tall, you're not ugly, because like
I tell people all the time, I'm like, people for their entire lives, or for my entire life at least, have convinced themselves that I'm a good looking guy. And I don't mean like that I'm like a supermodel or anything like that, but they've convinced themselves that I'm like a 7.5, maybe on my best days if I'm well dressed, a low 8. But that's because I'm 6'5". If I was Matt, and I don't mean to be offensive, but if I was Matt's height, people would be like, yeah, Griffin, you're a 4. Like, Matt, for his height, is handsome. Matt's a handsome, attractive guy. If I was his height, no one would have ever dated me. My current significant other has openly said that if I was short, she never would have dated me. I can acknowledge that. Yeah. I don't know if I need to hear that, because like, what if I lose my legs? But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, she's a little, young for you too, so that might be it. So,
what does that mean?
How old is she? Because I mean,
she's 26. Girlfriend. She's 20. Matt, we can joke about this in the group chat. We can pretend like she's 18 in the group chat. She's 26. She's 4 years younger than me. That's not a big age gap.
Yeah, so she's 90.
We like to joke that I'm 50 and she's 50.
Yeah, as long as you say 90 in her birth date, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah,
as long as it starts with 90.
As long as you like at least somewhat remember 9/11, we're good. That's my bar.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend's 3 years younger than me, and it's the same exact joke. I'm a 95-year-old man. She's the young one. It's classic comedy. It's just a great.
See, we're all crater rollers here. So
isn't your significant other also younger than you?
About 2.5, I think, years.
Okay, so I'm the worst of us, but like barely.
Yeah, I mean, it's all at a certain point. The year difference becomes less meaningful as you age.
It's not high school years versus
exactly.
The freshman dating a senior, you're like 4 years, what? And
that would be
that's weird.
32 versus 28 is different than 18, 14.
18,
but that's for another podcast.
It's also illegal. 5% of your life.
yeah.
That is the age gap. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're on this topic. I don't know if this is what the people tune in for.
It's amazing how off topic we get at the beginning. Like, I have some sort of thing going on. Like, one of us has one thing going on in our lives, and it's like, oh man, DC Frey was the worst. Like,
are we lonely? Is that what this is? Are we lonely, guys?
It's remote work life. We just
haven't gone into an office in 2.5 years, and haven't seen a water cooler in that amount of time. So got to talk to somebody somewhere.
Just gonna say, we talked about a water cooler. Well, I don't have any injuries that I'm nursing right now, but I can recommend 2 TV shows for the anime fans out there, especially Modai. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, dope show on Netflix.
Okay.
Last 2 days I finished it, and it is fantastic. I think Triggers the studio.
Yep.
But I don't know if there's like an manga that's behind it, because I know it's influenced based off the Cyberpunk 2077, which is a terrible. I mean, it might be a fun game, but I bought it upon
Apparently
release,
it's gotten
and
a
it
lot
was like
better.
a
Is that the Keanu Reeves game?
Yes, it's the Keanu Reeves game, but there's an anime, and the anime is
What's it
really,
called?
really good.
I literally have
it's on Netflix. So Netflix, if you want to sponsor our podcast, I love Netflix.
Didn't we ask Disney to sponsor us? Or we asked FanDuel to sponsor us last episode?
Yeah.
Like we're going for the big sponsors. We're
I
like,
think
back in the
OnlyFans
DVD
came
days.
up on one of the.
do you guys want 20 subscribers on YouTube? Because we've got it.
I did at least 20 case studies on Netflix when I was in the business school, so I know the model well. Love
There you go.
Netflix.
I did
That
one
was a long time
too.
ago. Tarantino's.
Yeah.
They've changed.
They're still relevant today.
They are still relevant.
Wait, what was it called? I have it literally.
It's called Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
Edge
and
Runners.
it's like right after the game. It's literally like influenced by the universe in the game. I actually heard that some of like the story kind of ties to the story in the game, so there are spoilers for it. But it's awesome. I highly recommend it.
You'll see it on like the trending now section on Netflix
Okay.
when you launch it. It came out in the past like week or two.
Yeah.
Highly acclaimed right now. Apparently the game has gotten better. And to your point earlier about Keanu Reeves game, part of the big problem that has been reported from people that have left the company is that it was not for a very long time the Keanu Reeves game. And then they like looked for somebody big to kind of promote the game. He came on board to do voice acting and do a character in it. And they were like, we're going to pivot fully into this. So, and Ferentinos, you might remember this from the beginning. The game starts, you make your character, and then you have like a 2-minute montage of like your character's first like 6 to 12 months in, I think it's called Edge City.
Yeah.
That was originally what the game was going to be. And instead it's a just cutscene montage that then picks up with like the Keanu Reeves stuff and then is like an entirely different game. But it's like Keanu Reeves, cool. He's maybe my favorite. He's not my favorite actor, but he's in my top.
It was
3.
one of those things where they like the people got carried away with thinking what the people would want, because it's like, oh, they killed it with this Keanu Reeves. Like everyone clearly loved it. Let's lean more into it. It's like, nah, you struck gold. You did a good idea. Like build it instead of like just having no creativity and just being like, all right, this is what we're going to do now.
You didn't have any recognizable actors in their previous games, the Witcher series, and you didn't need them because it's still one of the best selling RPGs of all time. Like just make a good game.
So it's not Henry Cavill in the Witcher games.
Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill? Yeah. I don't know which
Cavill.
one is
Henry Cavill.
Is it Cavill?
You guys are making him more European than he is. He's English.
Honestly,
there's no lilt to English.
Henry Cavill.
That's probably right. That's probably right.
I'm not like a huge, like I don't like playing adult video games. I never grew up past like the Mario and Pokemons of the world, but I didn't know getting like a famous actor was the thing in these.
You're still on like games. Your Magic School Bus games?
Yeah, I mean those
honestly bangers. I'm not going to say a bad thing about the Magic School Bus games.
Oh yeah, those games are great. But like the only one I played the Star Wars Fallen Order, which is dope.
Oh, amazing!
And that had
the kid from
Shameless.
Yes, yeah. I just know him as Ian, but I know he has an actual name too. But he did really well in that too.
Star Wars has done that before. They also had those Force Unleashed games on
360. I forget the guy's name, but yeah,
I can't remember his name either. But he's an actor. Like he's done a bunch of stuff. He also does a ton of voice work. Like he's a pretty prolific voice actor. That's what I don't like about
in The Last of Us. Or what was the video game? The zombie video game. I think she was a prominent, or he was a prominent character. So
at the time, Ellen Page, now Elliot Page.
Yeah.
I think there was an issue that I'm gonna say they for this just to make it work. Because it is different time periods. They had at the time said that it looked like the character model was based off of their appearance, and there was definitely like similarities between their appearance. But I think the voice actor that did the character, I think Ellie was the name, also looked like that. So I think it might have just been kind of
based on the voice.
Usually a lot of
kind of a generic looking brunette white woman.
Yeah, I'll say a lot of people look alike. There's no reason, like there's no question why you see like and especially generations of actors too.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, these people from Stranger Things, where did they come from? It turns out that they're some actor and some singer's baby. That is just like what?
Yeah. Robin in Stranger Things.
Yeah,
Literally, that's what I was thinking of.
Uma
yeah.
Thurman and Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke,
Yeah, who also maybe in my top 3 actors. It's probably Keanu Reeves, Ethan Hawke, and Brad Pitt. I think that's my Viggo Mortensen, top 4.
Oh, of course,
it's a Mount Rushmore. It's a Mount Rushmore.
I thought Viggo was in his own, just
he and Brad Pitt are kind of like, I think Brad Pitt, and I've talked about this at length, and people have had think pieces about this. Brad Pitt does not get the credit he deserves for being one of the greatest actors of all time,
just because he's so handsome.
He's so handsome.
Yeah.
If Brad Pitt looked like me, he'd have 7 Oscars. He also wouldn't be in that many movies because I'm too tall for the film industry, which is again what I tell myself for why I'm not a famous actor.
I'm a Leo. Leo's the GOAT for me. I'm a Leo through and through. He's my GOAT.
A fair take.
Respect it, especially the movies that he's in. Like, how can you deny it? Just everything he's in is a banger.
Yeah. Honestly, another guy who probably needs a little bit of love on the Mount Rushmore, not my personal one, but the greatest of all time.
Vin Diesel?
Denzel Washington.
Oh, Denzel's great. Yeah.
Denzel, another dude who I think doesn't get brought up enough in these conversations.
Incredible.
Best of all time.
I mean, shout out to Disney. Remember the Titans.
All-time favorite sports
Disney
movie.
money, but I know that's not one of his more prominent roles, but still, he was incredible in that.
Denzel, coincidentally, in a film with Ethan Hawke, one of his best Training Day.
Training Day.
Yeah, great film for both of them. Ferentinos, you said you had 2 shows that you were watching.
So the second one, I guess Cyberpunk is relevant, and the second one that I was going to bring up that I just watched, Severance. Incredible show.
Oh, I've heard that's good.
The
Apple,
finale
right?
was in April, Apple TV. So yeah, Tim Apple, John Apple, whoever the CEO for Apple is now.
Tim Cook.
Oh yeah, Tim Cook. There you go.
Tim Apple.
Can we get some love? But no, amazing. Like, I was reading the post-episode discussion threads because usually when I'm into a show, I'll subscribe to it on Reddit, check out the threads on there.
I get that.
And people are like, how am I going to wait a year to watch this back in April? And I feel the same thing just watching it now. Incredible show. Highly recommend it.
Have you watched For All Mankind on Apple TV? That would be my next recommendation.
You've recommended that to me so many times. I have to watch it.
That's a show that like you'll be in between seasons and you'll be like tearing your hair out waiting for it to come out. Like it's incredible. If you like space at all, it's incredible. If you like alternate history, it's incredible. If you like good character acting, just great performances that you really get behind, just really charismatic acting, you'll love it.
Last thing, then we can actually start talking about NBA, but Blackbird on Apple TV.
Ooh.
With Taron Egerton?
Yeah, so
love that guy.
Told you guys this story. I actually met him randomly when I was at a bachelor party in New Orleans when he was filming Blackbird.
Wow.
We were like, and it's a quick 1-minute story, but we were like at some dive bar, like just chilling, not like on the strip or on Bourbon Street, just like some random dive bar. We went outside, we were like sitting on the chairs, just like relaxing. He was smoking a cigarette, asked us for a light. And then he has like a thick accent because he's Welsh. And we just started talking like casually. He asked us what we were doing there, blah, blah, blah. And like, as we were talking to him, I'm like, that guy looks like Eggsy from the Kingsman. Yeah. But in no world did I think it was him because he's shorter than you realize.
He's not a tall guy
in person. So anyway, we were talking and he's like, yeah,
so I can act.
He's like, yeah, like I'm an actor. I'm here working on a TV show. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then when he finally said his name, Taron, I was like, it was like the Leo DiCaprio meme. We got the up. Like that's exactly what it was.
So that's cool. Honestly, that's more than me. That's like an intimate conversation. That's pretty cool.
It was cool.
I'm sure he probably appreciated that you guys didn't go into that being like, we're trying to talk to a famous actor. You just had a conversation with a dude who wanted to light a cigarette up.
Griffin and I would have went 6 to midnight. It would have been over.
He would have been like, you guys are visibly erect.
Yeah. Like the Anchorman.
Why is that one guy wearing gray sweatpants?
Yeah.
No,
it's just it's the pattern of the pants.
Yeah. It was cool. We talked to him for like 10 minutes. It was cool. He was super nice. So I will any piece of content he does. I know he's probably listening to this. I will indulge.
He's a really good actor. I don't know. Did you see the Elton John biopic?
So good.
Very good. Even the Sing movies. Like I didn't love the second one. I got a little bit bored because I thought it was kind of just like a long music video. But the first one I loved.
So good. Yeah. But Blackbird is very good, regardless of like he was there filming it. when I met him, whatever, in New Orleans.
The other guy in Blackbird, Paul William Hauser, I think is his name.
Who played?
He was in
Richard Jewell.
Yes. And I saw that in theaters. Thank you. Good memory on that one. I really love that movie. He was also in an episode of Always Sunny way back in the day.
Really?
Do you remember when Charlie works at the school and he like tries to help out the little Juggalo kid?
That was him?
That was him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch that.
It's him, you know, I mean, like at the time, I'm sure he was probably in his early 20s. I don't think he's particularly old, but usually he's got like the facial hair going, makes him look a little bit older. I think he's like really good friends with Sebastian Stan, the guy who plays the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So they're always tagging each other and stuff on Instagram. I'm a big fan of both of them. I think they're both really good actors.
He's a great actor. I mean, he's great in Blackbird and he's great in the Richard Jewell. I didn't know he was in It's Always Sunny, but not that he
plays people that are a little bit off really well. But then you see interviews with him and he's like the most soft-spoken, like gentle, intelligent guy. So I really am hoping for good things for his career because I like him a lot. We have not talked about the NBA even a little bit. We should probably do that.
We can get into it. We can pivot.
You guys want to talk about the NBA a little bit? You want to talk about something?
Yeah, I don't really care about what you've been up to, Griffin. I just want to.
I've been up to
talk NBA at this point.
I think if you're watching the Give and Go show, you probably also watch List Night, and you probably already know what I'm up to, or you follow my Twitter or my Instagram or whatever. I don't do shit. I don't fuck with people. I don't go outside. I hang out with my dogs. That's it. That's all I've been doing.
That's all you need in life.
That's all. I've been going a mile a minute, which you can hear in my voice, and that's fine. I'm good. I'm chilling. We'll talk about me in like 3 or 4 episodes. I'm good right now. Let's talk about basketball. Like we'd mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to talk about teams that we expect to potentially crater during the course of the season, kind of based on the regular season win totals that we talked about over the past few episodes. We're also going to talk about ones that we think might explode over the course of the season. Modi, this was kind of your idea on how we were going to go about this. So I'm going to let you start. Whatever team you want to get into, let's talk about them.
Sure. Do we want to start negative? Do we want to start positive? How do we want to?
Let's start negative so we can end positive.
Okay. Well, so I have a list of 4 teams that have win totals of above 500 that I think could basically disappoint. Number 1, Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, Ferentinos, but like that's obvious. Like we don't.
I was gonna bring them up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how much we need to get into it. Like that. It's just like Kyrie's gonna do something crazy. Ben Simmons isn't gonna play. Kevin Durant either gets traded or gets hurt, and they win like 40, like 35, whatever games. Like that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility.
No, I mean, I completely agree, especially Kyrie's cultural fit with, the things that he's been posting on social media, which isn't the greatest. Like, clearly, it's like whenever he says something good, he has to say something. It's like 1 step forward, 8 steps back with this guy.
It's not, it's a lot of steps back.
Yeah, it's not anything great. But exactly, like Steve Nash is still the coach. Josiah is still the owner. Rashawn Marsh is the GM.
We're all kind of a head coach, though.
There was so many.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan at Barclays, you're kind of the coach.
Yeah. I mean, they literally free-falled from the 1 seed to a play-in team just this season. So I could definitely see them as
with Durant hurt, though, for the majority of that, right?
But again, though, that's out of the realm of possibility. You have to factor in injuries as much as you don't want to. That's why I want to play fantasy basketball, because as a fantasy football fan, I don't draft running backs because the first week, one of them will get hurt. And it's just like you hate to play on that hedge, but especially with aging superstars, it's going to get there. Kyrie's not as young as he was. Kevin Durant is like 32, 33 years old right now. He's not getting any younger. So that's completely in the realm of possibilities. The Nets being a huge underachiever.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk too much. Like that one, I feel like it's just obvious. It's very obvious. The next one I had, and I promise I didn't do this to the 2 hosts, but the Lakers. I mean, we literally watched this.
I mean, it's aging superstars. It's teams that did collapse last year. Like, yeah, these are fair,
but
albeit
Bald Braun, baby,
to start this. Yeah,
Bald Braun.
But he's not. It's here's the filter. But I hope. I don't know if you guys remember the way he looked. I think it was like 2017.
Never mind. Wasn't there like his last Heat year? There was like his
the headband was a huge meme. I thought that was with the Cavs. It was like the headband was the thing, but I don't know. It also probably was the Heat too.
I think it was 2017. He came into the season like during the offseason. It was like close crop, like very short, relatively small beard. And then 2017, I think losing to Kevin Durant broke him a little bit, and he was like, let's do something different. And then 2018, remember he had the mustache and the short shorts, and he looked like a really, really large 80s porn star. He's had a lot of looks.
Yeah, he's trying to find his identity.
LeBron has had a lot of looks.
I think one of my favorites, though, is the Rip Hamilton mask, the black tinted out one on the Heat when he was the Miami Bron. Like, that might be one of the all-time, like, most terrifying players to play against. In his athletic prime, like, weight, physicality, like, that was a scary dude to go up against.
To the
Dwayne
point where
Wade can literally toss him an alley-oop from, like, the other side of the court.
And he'll go find it.
Yeah.
They banned the black mask because of that. Because you couldn't see his eyes. It's like, with most normal humans, that's not something that people are afraid of.
Yeah. Mine was when he lost the headband, or he got knocked off his head in Game 6 against the Spurs, and then he like went bananas in the fourth quarter. Do you remember that?
Wasn't his headband like a Twitter account? Like someone literally made a Twitter account for Bron's headband. I think that was the game I was thinking about.
Yeah, he like, because he always wore it, obviously, and then I think it was like the third or fourth quarter against the Spurs, it got like knocked off, and then he played the rest of the game without it, and then he just went bananas.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if I have a preferred look for him. I will say I do not like his current look with the big Santa Claus beard. I think the beard's been too long for a while, and I would like him to get away from it. Granted,
it's a harder thing.
You know, you're a billionaire. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
People have always said that he does the big beard thing to hide HGH use because of his jaw growing. And he did have tumors removed during his Miami period. But it also could be, I mean, like, you can have tumors throughout your body without any sort of, I mean, I'm not going to say one way or the other if I think he's on drugs. But maybe that's something he's self-conscious about. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's why he keeps the beard. I'm not going to knock him for it. Like, he doesn't give a fuck what I have to say anyways. I liked the mustache and short shorts look. I thought it was hilarious. Him and Kevin Love and a couple other guys on that team all looked like they rolled out of like the Magic Bird era. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
It was a fun look.
I do love the Lakers being an underachiever, though, because it's not like Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis are really going to be doing a lot of things this year. So that's a good underachieving.
I mean, we watched this movie last year. Like, it's not that profound of a thought. But like LeBron, AD again struggle to stay healthy. They're still like very like significantly light on shooting. Schroeder, Westbrook, Beverly. Like Beverly's a fine corner three, but like they're just light on shooting. Griffin looked like they're about to say something. Yeah.
What are we saying is an implosion? Because the win total for them is 45.5. So like they're just a hair over 500. Are we saying missed playoffs? 30 wins again? Like they have this past year?
I feel like 30 something. Like their floor, given injuries and everything, is probably like 30 wins. So that would be a huge underachievement for what the LeBron James led team should do.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that it doesn't get to the point where it's too early and then they're just like, whatever. Like he's like, I'm not going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to do it. Let's just give up. I think that also impacted their win total last year because he was definitely coming back after some injuries and carrying them at the end of the season.
He wanted that scoring title really bad.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He wanted the scoring title.
Yeah. And he was
take it from Embiid.
Yeah. He didn't get it. Yeah. But no, I mean, like, I feel like even though their win total is at 45.5, a team with LeBron and AD winning less than 40 games is a disappointment. Like that is a tough look.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I don't really know how much I think they're going to bottom out, really. I mean, I think like Ferentino's mentioned, their floor is probably 30 wins, which is not great for a team with two former MVPs, one of whom is LeBron James, and the other non-former MVP is Anthony Davis. So you've got three essentially lifelong all NBA players on that team, but the personality fit, everything that we saw last year, and even a little bit of what we saw the previous year before they got Russell Westbrook, like the injuries, if they come early in the season, they might just close the door on the season and say, we're going to move off all these contracts. We're going to sit LeBron, or we're going to let him try and just build up his counting stats. And we're going to try again next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw what happened his first year when he like tweaked his groin or whatever, missed 20 games. And then I think he ended up getting shut down at some point. I forget when. His first year in LA.
That was when they had
Ingram and all
trading all the young guys.
Pre-trade.
Yeah.
Because post-trade, a lot of people thought that they were going to do everything, or pre-trade, but post-injury, they thought they were going to do everything possible to keep Ingram, because I think after LeBron went down, because they clearly couldn't coexist on the court during that first year, Ingram averaged like 27 points a game.
Yeah.
Like he was absolutely unleashed once he had the ball in his hands. And it was like, okay, we'll wait one more year for Anthony Davis. Obviously, they didn't do that. I think that was the right choice to not wait for him. They ended up winning a title out of it the immediate following year. Who knew that COVID was going to happen? But he was shut down, I think, for probably half that season.
Yeah.
I think he only played maybe 45, 50 games or something like that. He might have made it to 60. I'm not sure.
That first game he missed, or that first year he missed a lot.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, I can move on to a positive note. I have two more negative ones. We can flip flop. This was hard. Like, I feel like in the NBA, it's not like the NFL where a team like the Bengals somehow make it to the Super Bowl. Like, that doesn't happen in the NBA really. Like, I was trying to think the last time a team that missed the playoffs the year before, aside from the Lakers, because that doesn't necessarily count, or like some wild free agency thing, but some team that coming into the year was not expected to win over 500, wasn't expected to finish over 500, that like made noise in the playoffs, or even like won the title or made it to the title. It's tough. Like, I mean, this wasn't like an assignment that we had, but like I was trying to think of it. Like, it just doesn't happen in the NBA. You never see it. So anyways, that's my
maybe the like late 2000s Lakers, just because of the acquisition of Powell or something like that.
Mid-season, yeah.
That's what I would think about, but I can't really think of other teams that. No, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, the NBA
it's two-star heavy.
It's two-star heavy. It's usually like a 4-team league every year.
Yeah.
There's none that like immediately spring to mind of like immediate massive turnarounds.
Just even the playoffs too, they're literally designed to
it's 4 games,
the weaker teams.
Yeah, 7-game series. Yeah.
Like,
so
you could say to an extent the Grizzlies. You could honestly could say the Suns. The Suns,
the Suns. You're right.
Getting Chris Paul were a 35-win team plus
perennial,
bubble or whatever it was. Yeah. And then they got Chris Paul and they won 62 games.
I saw a funny stat about Chris Paul. If you have Chris Paul on your team, there's 80% chance that you get a new owner.
That's pretty good.
That's funny.
Pretty good.
You're right. I didn't really think about the Suns, but you're right. It probably is the Suns. Coming off of that, like the bubble, undefeated bubble. But anyways, one of the teams I came up with was the Blazers.
Yeah.
Like 39.5 win total, so it's not like they're supposed to be terrible. And the West is significantly better than it's been, but the Blazers have still made 2 conference finals, like since Dame has been there. As a Sixers fan, you shouldn't laugh at a conference finals appearance. I can assure you that. Like, I'm not saying it's likely, but I wouldn't. It's not the most crazy thing in the world if they get like a 6 seed, somehow get like a lucky matchup with whoever they get at the 3 seed. Like if they win a playoff series or something. I don't think it's crazy. Obviously, like, has to be a Dame revenge season. Like, it just has to be. He has to be like 100% healthy. Can't take a step back. Then you need like Jeremy Grant to be as good as he was that first year with the Pistons, but actually also attribute to winning, not just have good counting stats. I also have a bone to pick with ESPN because their updated rosters is terrible. They told me Joe Ingles was on the Blazers, and I was looking at that and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. And then if you click the hyperlink, Joe Ingles, it says he plays for the Bucks. Like, oh, Ingles and Bucks agreed to terms. Like, update your roster.
He's on the Bucks. He is on the Bucks. We talked about this.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you go to ESPN and look at the Blazers roster, Joe Ingles is listed as a Blazer.
ESPN's in football mode right now. They do not give a fuck about literally anything else. Fucking the Ohtani Judge MVP race. ESPN gives a shit about it. They
couldn't care less.
They don't.
I mean, the worldwide leader in sports can't even get updated rosters. I have to go to lineups.com. It's ridiculous.
Who are they competing with, though? It's to be like the worldwide leader. Like, Fox Sports?
Yeah.
Come on. CNN?
Barstool.
Oh. Bill Simmons.
But anyways, like, outside of those two, like, they have NBA players like Josh Hart, Nasir Little, Anthony Simons, Nurkic, Gary Payton. Like, they're all NBA players. And then you need someone to pop, like maybe Justice Winslow from the grave. Just does something. But that was like, like 7 years later. But I mean, that's the best team I could come up with that has a win total below 500 that I wouldn't be surprised was out of the play-in terms of a top 6 seed and then won a playoff series.
The only other team that I could see, because Griffin was high on them, I agree completely on the Blazers, because you take out really years with just major injuries to Dame, which I think was really just like last year, the year before. It was the end of the year before in the playoff series where he got hurt that then impacted last year. But really, they've been consistently a great team. If Nurkic is healthy, along with a completely healthy Dame, I mean, you see what kind of impact he can have. It was really just can they sustain a team with two guards that aren't that great on defense but are bona fide scorers? And they realized that that wasn't the thing that could get them over the top, which is why they had to move McCollum and do those things. But yeah, I could definitely see the Blazers being a team that overachieves this year. The only other team that I could kind of see, which just going back to Griffin as a team that could really overachieve, it's probably the Wizards. I can actually
fine overachieve. Are we talking like 8
I can see them being over 500, I guess, compared to like 35
that's not overachieving.
35
that's
and a half
achieving.
to going over.
Sure,
right.
sure.
7 games over your win total is probably overachieving.
Before we move to the Wizards, really quickly, just want to say one thing about the Blazers. I disagree with you guys completely. I think they're going to bottom out. I think there's so many issues with that front office. And I took the over for them because I think it's worthwhile betting on it if everything works well with that team. But in terms of, do I think it's more likely that they end up being a playoff team or more likely that they bottom out? I think bottoming out is more likely.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that if I was like ranking, like, you know, giving percentages, what's more likely, probably bottoming out just because the West is so good.
The West is so good, and the front office is a mess, and the ownership is absolutely a mess now that it's not Paul Allen anymore. It's his sister who apparently doesn't give a fuck about the team, and she's a sexual harasser and all these other things. Like, people don't want to play for her. I could see them. They could be 500 coming to the like trade deadline. And I could see them just being like, you know what, fuck this. This isn't working anymore. Let's move off all these contracts. Let's rebuild this team entirely. I don't think they're going to get rid of Dame. I think it would be a serious misstep to get rid of Dame just because of the way he talks about that team. But they might be like, let's reload this team and continue to have Dame just be the vet leadership as he takes on a progressively reduced role. Could go either way. I respect
that as Dame is a superstar, because just as, I mean, being a Nets fan, having all of the stars come to your team, which never happens, is a really cool thing. And then already having that waiver in such a short span, it is. And I just like, we kind of grew up in the era where, but it's like just growing up in the era where established superstars that kind of played for the teams, which better solution, just pay all the athletes more, pay home stars, superstars more, be able to like have small market teams compete. But there is something cool about seeing someone that's like all in on like this city, this team gave me my shot. I love this city. I want to get back to it. I want to win for this team. I want to build something here, like Giannis did in Milwaukee. I mean, it is really cool to see when players embrace that and just have that sort of attitude. I'm not saying that like free agency is wrong. I just think players should have more freedom, I think, when it comes to like being able to do it. But obviously, I don't know. There's got to be.
But there's also the negative of that.
There is, because I don't think that
to super teams.
And like we said, we don't need owners that sexually harass players to have more power than the players. So I also, you know,
we also don't know if Chauncey Billups is a good coach. Like, there's a lot of negatives to the Blazers, but I mean, the list of teams that have win totals below 500 is a dark. It's a dark list.
Yeah,
the Hornets are on the top of the list, which is saying something.
Yeah.
We can circle back to the Wizards, Matt. I don't think you were able to give your full point.
No, I mean, just like look at the Wizards. Like, they're gonna score a lot of points, and like KCP, Bradley Beal, when they're on fire, like they've always put up points. So the problem is just they don't really have a fit or consistency with people.
KCP moved.
Wait, Porzingis is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're thinking of
Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know why I gave him that nickname. He's not
KCP.
KP. But I like, with the potential they have, they've always put up a lot of points, and in this league, like, you just need to score. And if the Wizards can have those days where they just put up a lot of points and end up getting a lot of wins at the end of it, I mean, they could be a team that overachieves. Kyle Kuzma could take another lead, potentially. I know that makes Griffin happy.
And that was me jerking 2 dicks on my face.
He's consistently done better, and you can argue he has lived up to his role where they've asked him to do more. It's not like where he's on the Lakers kind of on an island where they asked him to do too much. they're asking him to do about what I think he should. And he's hit some game winners. He's done some things. I think that, as much as the Wizards have gotten flack for not really taking that next step or trying to take that next step to go to conference finals or championships and really just trying to make the playoffs. But with teams like that, they can be hot, and there are those, times where the Wizards can make noise. I think this could be one of those years, and it wouldn't be too surprising. Again, both teams that I talked about with the Blazers and Wizards that I were hammering the under, but I can definitely see it, me and myself being extremely wrong on these takes.
Can we acknowledge that Kyle Kuzma was like not a lottery pick? Like, I feel like people put expectations on him because he was drafted to the Lakers.
It's because
of the absolute end of the first.
It was the Lonzo year, and he won
Yeah.
Summer League MVP. Yeah,
that's exactly why.
Is great, but it's Summer League, first off. Second off, like, he is legitimately a good starter, albeit not a great one in the league. Kyle Kuzma, a guy that I love, isn't an all-star. Why do we have a conversation about him like he is? And I don't mean you guys. I mean, like, the league at large and journalists and fans. They're like, Kyle Kuzma is a failure if he's not an all-NBA player. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because he like very much enjoyed the LA lifestyle and like portrayed himself as a superstar.
Same. Same.
Well, if you had the money that he had, it would be a little bit different.
You're right.
I think that's why. It's because he like became very Hollywood, and like his play never suffered like that. And that, I don't mean that in a negative connotation, but he just,
I would argue his play suffered the most from the fit that he was demanded to have next to LeBron and Anthony Davis. I don't think there's ever been a report about Kyle Kuzma not being one of the first one-ins last one out. It's like, you can see he's like a guy that like very much grinds, understands the position he's in, works on his bag. He's never going to be an MVP level player, and that's okay. But the conversation around him is just so toxic.
I think it's unfortunate too. It's just like Lakers and Knicks players will get a lot of attention. Like, yes, Alex Caruso, amazing player, amazing glue guy, does so many good things to help your team win. I feel like he was talked about like defensive player of the year. Like, I feel
on the Bulls or the Lakers.
Laker. It was when he was on the Lakers, and then he did like, I think, fulfill what he was like meant out to be on the Lakers, or was portrayed to be on the Lakers. But just a lot of players have inflated expectations when you're from a Knicks or a Lakers media outlet, and that's just kind of natural, I think, with a lot of their players.
Caruso was interesting because I feel like the narrative on him shifted a lot, where at first everyone was like, this kid's a meme. And then they saw his defensive ability, and they saw the timely plays, and he was making a lot of stuff that was popping up on Twitter, popping up on our NBA, things like that. And people saw like how much LeBron enjoyed playing with him. But yeah, obviously for the first couple of years that he was in the league, and even during some of the G League stuff, if you could see like his G League highlights that got posted, people just made fun of the guy for being bald and being like your standard like lunch pail type of white player. Then he ended up being legitimately talented and doing all that dirty work that you need a guy to do. And the narrative shifted, but there were still a lot of holdouts that were like, yeah, Caruso's not that good. It's just the LA market. Then he goes to the Bulls, and when he's healthy, he's a massive part of.
And he got paid. I mean,
he got paid.
And
he's a big part of them being on that win streak and having all those wins prior to all the injuries. He goes out, that team falls apart.
For every Caruso, though, you have a THT.
I think THT is going to be better on the Jazz than he ever would have been on the Lakers. I think the spotlight is too bright on the Lakers. I think the expectations are too high. I think just like kind of like a Jordan Clarkson, you need to go to a bad team to develop a little bit. And Jordan Clarkson obviously was on the Lakers when they were bad, but you're not allowed to be bad on the Lakers. So there's a constant like pressure to succeed, even when you're legitimately a tanking team, one of the worst teams in the league.
Well, he just came out and said, I didn't read the article, but he talked about how that team, like, it wasn't going to work together when it was like all those young Lakers together. And part of it kind of made sense given their fit. Like, they had to go find their own. And obviously Jordan Clarkson's a guy who completely found his lane on the Jazz as being that just score, like just go score.
Yeah, he's a microwave scorer, and he's great at it.
Yeah, and he's so good at doing it. And I feel like he was sort of a meme on the Lakers, and then the Jazz, like sixth man of the year, like an actual impact player that you want on your team, kind of like the new generation's Lou Will, if you'll have it. And he's done great in that role.
Yeah, shots fired on Lou Will, who's really not even that old.
He's kind of old. He is pretty old.
He's like in his early 30s.
Lou Will?
Late 30s.
Lou Will is definitely. You're thinking like Jamal Crawford, maybe?
No, Crawford's very old.
Lou
He's
Will, I'm going to say
35.
right now is 35. All right, are we calling that late 30s? I
He's
was thinking like 33, but
Round it
you're
up.
right.
I was thinking 37. So
all right, so we split the difference.
It's because he was drafted in 2005 because he was right out of high school, so he feels like he's significantly older than he is.
Sure, and you get that with the out of high school guys.
Yeah,
and so also just the guys that came in at 19.
He's a sixer,
almost 20 years.
Yeah,
so which is insane.
Yeah, I mean he's had an incredible career, and he's gotten paid a lot of money, and he's had a lot of hot wings, and he's dated a lot of women. I'm not gonna knock Lou Will and his hustle. To your point about the Wizards, Modi, any thoughts on that one? You think?
I mean, like, what are we calling overachieving? Like, they're not going to win a playoff series. Like, they might get the 8 seed, and like they got the 8 seed 2 years ago, and I don't really think that's anything to write home about because they just got smoked in 5 games.
They'll go 6 in the first round.
I honestly, and I mean,
if they get a good draw.
I talked about this during the regular season predictions. You know, obviously I took the over, and I have genuinely put money on the over, so I'm very confident about it. I think if they're the 8 seed, they'll win the play-in, and then they'll get smashed by the 1 seed in a few games. If they somehow manage to have, you know, a 45, 46, 47 potentially win season, and I don't think they really will. But if they somehow get to that point, just by, like Ferentino said, having such a high-powered offense, if they have the offense that they've had the past few years and they have a league average defense, they're going to be one of the best versions of that team we've seen over the past 15 years. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to have a league average defense, but it'd be nice, right? If that does happen and they win 47 games, I could see them getting out of the first round. I could see them, you know, as a 7 seed or a 6 seed upsetting an earlier seed, just because when things do get to the playoffs, having Porzingis and having Bradley Beal, those are 2 pretty good guys to have in the playoffs, just in terms of like matchup versatility. Like there's not a lot of guys that are going to be able to defend Porzingis if he's healthy. And it's always the big question. Is he healthy?
I mean, Brad Beal, yes, but like we've seen Porzingis in the playoffs and he's horrible, even when he's like even when he's healthy. Like he gets played off the court. Like,
are we talking him when he was with the Mavs? Because I think there was a lot to the Luka Porzingis weirdness.
Yeah, I mean that was part of it, but he just even the first year when everybody was excited about what that could be, I guess that was the bubble playoffs against the Clippers, which he ended up getting hurt in. But like he can't hang in the playoffs.
He's going to get hurt. I think there's ways to scheme hit for him.
Just not in the playoffs,
a guy like on your team, but
it just doesn't fly. It doesn't fly in the playoffs. And also, like, who is a plus defense? I don't know. I think it's a little too much Wizards love for me to think that they can.
No one
win.
on that team is a plus. I mean, you can make an argument that Kyle Kuzma, depending on whether he's matched up against 3s or 4s, is a plus defender. And when they have him play small ball 5, he's not. And when they put him on senders, but again, is he going to play?
Yeah, exactly. So,
and Denny's also a plus defender, but he's such a negative offensively that doesn't offset in a great way.
Yeah, it's like Matisse Thybulle. Like he's a great defender who can't play in the playoffs because his offense is so bad.
Sure.
You guys are too high on the Wizards. That's all I'll say.
That very well may be true. I'm very rarely too high on the Wizards. So this may be my first time in a lot of years.
Going over their win total and winning the play-in to become an 8 seed, I will accept. I can't see any scenario unless everybody on the East dies that the Wizards win a first-round playoff series.
Giannis explodes on the court and takes out a bunch of other players.
Oh my God.
The Bucks without Giannis, I think, beat the Wizards in a playoff series.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They're a much better built and much better coached. From what we know about Wes Unseld Jr. so far, they're just a much better coached team. Like Bud is not a great coach in my estimation. He's a good coach. I think people are too hard on him, but he's not a great coach, and he still would coach circles around every coach the Wizards have had in my lifetime.
Not to go on like a huge tangent, but I give Bud a lot of credit because he was so stubborn in his ways, like for so long with the Hawks, and then those first 2 years with the Bucks, he just refused to do anything different than his system. And then the year he experiments in the regular season, they get the 3 seed and then they win the title because of that. Like, being able to play different ways turns out is very important in the playoffs.
Does that hurt you a lot when you think of Doc Rivers?
A lot. I mean, everything.
Doc Rivers and Brett Brown and there's kind of a laundry list of coaches you've had that don't like to experiment.
And Brett Brown, I feel like I like Brett Brown. I think he's a good coach. I feel like he never got enough respect just because he was so like intertwined with the process years that when they got out of it, it was like he could never have survived all of that losing.
It's kind of the same thing about why you had to move off of Hinkie. Like, yes, he probably still should have been the GM. Yes, you should have like taken him to the inevitable conclusion of the process. But there's just such a toxic stench around him that the league was like, we can't do this.
It's how they did it. Like, Adam Silver was like, hey, you need to get a Colangelo. Like, this is going to solve everything. We're going to hire Jerry to oversee the team, who then independently somehow lands on his son as the GM.
Like, who wears normal collars, man. Find a new slant.
Find a new slant. But yeah, I would say 95% of my basketball analysis is just being mad at the Sixers and seeing teams that do smart things that the Sixers should do, and then being like, "What?" And then they just getting
why
jealous.
don't my teams do this? Yeah, I get that.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, I was gonna say last week, I guess another new thing with me. One, I had to leave. Whenever there's Wizard slander, I just have to get on camera real quick. You can't see me be so upset. But so I'm not. No longer, it's just like with last week, I was like, I'm giving up on the Cowboys. They're so terrible. I'm looking at Howie Roseman in Philly make every amazing GM decision possible. I'm just like, can't we get someone better on like the team that you're a fan of? Like, you just see the moves happen. You're like, you know what makes sense. And it's just so frustrating when these people that have billions of dollars that are making these morons have no idea what they're talking about.
And we don't need to step too far into this because I could go for hours. The Howie Roseman conversation is an interesting one because there was about a 4-year span where every decision he made was bad. Every single one. He like a Super Bowl roster, and then he took a blowtorch to it.
Destroying the Chip Kelly era teams, and then...
Yeah, like the talent they had on the Super Bowl was like young and incredible.
Yeah.
And then he just took a blow, like he just... So GMs are weird, man. Like, was he always bad? Was he always good? It's like, it's somewhere in the middle. Like, he's been incredible for 2 years, and then he was awful for 4. It's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. You had I think, so you gave the Blazers as a team that you think could have a positive explosion.
They're the only team that you think? They're the only positive team.
Okay.
I'll say my hottest take, and I don't think this team will miss the playoffs entirely, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat was a play-in team this year. If they, like play-in team meaning 7 or 8, not necessarily 9 or 10.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Like they're the 1 seed last year, but like literally everybody important on that team has had health trouble. Like Jimmy Butler missed playoff games. Kyle Lowry missed playoff games. Kyle Lowry, I guess, apparently doesn't invoke Heat culture, so he doesn't keep himself in as good a shape as Pat Riley would want.
Got to support that booty.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of Philly in that booty. And like, I know this literally happened last year and they were the 1 seed, but to me, that's more of a fluke than something that like will just happen again year over year, especially in an East that is significantly better than last year.
They also killed themselves to get that 1 seed towards the end of the year. Exactly. When it was like a constant back and forth between them and the Bucks and the Celtics.
The Bucks
and maybe the Sixers. Were the Sixers up there too? I can't remember if they were a couple games out, right?
They were. Yeah, they were. Yeah. I mean, the Sixers.
There was a very serious like seesaw of wins towards the end of the season, and yeah, I agree with you. I don't see the Heat recreating that. I think I took the under for them in our previews. They have them at 48.5. I see them being like a 44-45 win team just because I don't think they're gonna try that hard in the regular season.
Yeah, sorry.
If I'm them, I wouldn't try that hard in the regular season. Just knowing the injury history, knowing the age of the players, like don't tank it. You still want to make the playoffs, but a 7 seed, like they're gonna have matchup versatility, a bunch of teams, even if they're the 7 seed, that they're gonna be fine with being that seed. Unless there's like a note from Pat Riley being like, be a top 4 seed or we're going to kill your families.
Yeah. I think that they'll probably want to at least be the 6 seed. Like you don't want to mess with the play-in because like two bad games happen and then you're toast. But yeah, like, I completely lost my train of thought. You had a point that I was going to comment on, and then I just completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, either way, I don't think it probably wasn't a smart one anyway. So
never.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. But then, yeah, I don't think they're going to like be a bad team by any means. All I was going to say is like, you don't want to see them in the playoffs. Like even if they're the 6 seed, whoever gets the 3, if it's the Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, whatever, like they're not a team you're going to want to see. I mean, the Wizards get the 3 seed.
How embarrassed would you be? How embarrassed would you be if the Wizards got the 3 seed?
If they got a 3 seed, we should have
3 seed. Oh my God.
Well, again, this is in an NBA where a lot of players have died. So like it'll be a solemn day when they get the 3 seed.
Yeah. The NBA,
because so many of our favorite athletes have unfortunately departed from the mortal coil. But
maybe if Kyrie convinces them all to like go to Ukraine or something and fight in a war, but
I mean,
I can't see anything else
that happening.
I
could see Kyrie trying to push for it.
Yeah. I can see Kyrie trying to push to be on Russia's side, thinking that he's fighting for freedom or something along those lines, because that man is insane.
Yeah, just knowing him,
yeah.
He does probably still believe the Earth is flat, so
he absolutely still believes that.
He absolutely does.
There's no doubt in my mind that he doesn't believe that.
I saw a funny meme that was like, Kevin Durant probably has had to say like, "Damn, that's crazy," to like 100 things, like just nonstop to everything. Kyrie, like just a damn, that's crazy. When you like want no part of that conversation.
Like, hey Kev, blah blah blah. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, literally.
Hey Kev, damn, that's crazy.
We just walked off the earth, we would fall forever. Damn, that's crazy.
I want more than any locker room in the sport, more than a LeBron James locker room, more than a Chris Paul locker room, more than the Heat culture locker room. I want to be in whatever locker room Kyrie Irving is in for the rest of his career.
Just a fly on the wall.
Just a fly on the wall. Just, I'll give up the next 8 years of my life just to know what's going on in the drama-filled hallways of Kyrie Irving's life. I just badly want to know.
I want to be in that Lakers locker room with Nick Young and D'Angelo Russell.
That's a good one. Or, I mean, you've also...
I want to be in that Lakers or that Wizards locker room with Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd even take the John Wall, Bradley Beal ones earlier on. Like, I feel like it was when Paul Pierce got to that team, that they were having fun in that locker room.
That was a magical season.
It was successful fun, but they were definitely having fun.
I call game. Or the Rockets Clippers locker room where like Chris Paul is like, "Oh, I know a secret way." And they're gonna fight in the back.
Hello, police. Chris Paul's trying to fight me.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what a time. Any other negative teams that you had?
I had the Hawks, but again, that's like to them, it's like playing. Like to them, it's probably the 9 seed, like where they were last year.
What are the Hawks at? The Hawks are at 45.5. Yeah, I can see them being like literally exactly 500 or a game or two below it.
Yeah, and like
it's entirely possible.
The recipe there isn't that far-fetched. It's like I don't think Nate McMillan is that good of a coach. I don't think it's necessarily a guarantee that the backcourt of Trey and Murray will work as well as people think it will offensively, just because they're both so ball dominant. And we need to see one of them become a player that they've never been, what Kevin O'Connor's wanted Russell Westbrook to be his entire career. And then like the defense continues to suck like it sucked last year. Hunter doesn't like DeAndre Hunter doesn't take the leap that both you and I think that he can. And Collins is just perpetually unhappy, which it seems like it's been every year. That's the recipe.
So here's my big question for both of you on the Hawks. And I don't think we talked about this at all when we talked about them during the preview. Let's say that they bottom out. Let's say they don't make the playoffs or they're a play-in team or something like that, or they're below 500 when the trade deadline comes. Do you think the Hawks start entertaining offers on Trae Young sometime in the next couple of years? Or do you think Trae Young tries to force his way out? Or is he like an Atlanta lifer like Dame is?
I think it's more likely that he tries to force his way out.
Sure.
I could see him being an Atlanta lifer, though. I think I could see this being a front office that tries to make moves to keep him in town. I think he's embraced the city and the culture. I think I'd see more of the Dame side, just because, I mean, honestly, we talked about people who have power in the league. What's a point guard really have as power? He's not Steph Curry as much as he wants to be. I mean, he's great, but you see like just a Trae Young led team is not as good as a Luka Doncic led team, which we could talk about how that was kind of a fumble by the Hawks or the Kings or any team that didn't draft Luka, really.
I hesitate to call it a fumble for the Hawks. I would absolutely call it a fumble for the Kings.
They're so good, but I'd rather have clearly Luka Doncic, which people like, he can carry teams by himself. He is a LeBron level player. He will be setting records. He's going to be at the end of his career, first ballot Hall of Famer in every basketball association you could think about. And Trae Young is very good, but he could be like a Dame that never gets as high as a conference finals, which Luka still has to get to that point and take that leap. But out of a guy that I'd rather have the next 10 years, easily Luka over Trae.
I don't know if they're ever going to be at these heights. I don't think they ever will be at these heights because they're such high heights. But I think people are probably going to look at it the same way you look at Michael Jordan's draft, where Michael Jordan should have gone second, not third. But taking Hakeem before MJ, particularly at the time in the league where big men were dominating, is an incredibly defensible position. And there's entirely an argument to be made that if they're in different circumstances for their careers, Hakeem may have had just as many rings as Michael ended up with. Like,
and I'll say, I don't think Houston really says that was a bad pick even after the fact either, because they were instant contenders with Hakeem. Mike had to get the perfect GM and coach and everything to work out for him to really be unstoppable. Like,
and there's no way to predict having the greatest player of all time as the draft takes, unless, I mean, like outside of a LeBron, who obviously went number one,
or you could draft Darko
and would have gone probably number one the year prior. Yeah. Or you can make some Darko Milicic choices. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know obviously what the talk was like when, like, I don't know looking back what people said live when Jordan was drafted, whether it was like a hot take getting a lot, like taking Hakeem Olajuwon over Jordan. But I feel like at the time it was universally kind of like, well, that was dumb from the Hawks. Like, they shouldn't have done that. They should have just taken Luka. That's the only thing. Like, when people know at the time, like, and they get slandered for it, and then history has kind of proven them correct, then I think at that point it is fair to criticize.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, of everybody, I criticize the Kings the most, as everyone does, because they're the Kings. Yeah. And they just make it so easy.
Oh my God.
It's like they go out of their way to be a joke franchise. And again, I say that as a Wizards fan.
You mean the Kings make the Wizards look like the Warriors.
Yeah. Which is disgusting.
It's hard to do.
Because I badly want the Wizards to look like the Wizards so that other people in the league are aware of how badly run that team is.
I mean,
but the Kings and the Knicks just constantly take all the attention away from how bad we are.
The fact that Ernie Grunfeld was there for 16 years and like no one questioned it until at the very, very end, like after the Mahimi sign, or Jan Mahimi.
Jan Mahimi,
yeah.
16 years? Ernie Grunfeld was there until 2 years ago.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
The Wizards have not won 50 games since 1978.
Yeah, I would have thought.
And they've only had a few GMs in that time.
You would have thought
that's absurd.
You would have thought the Beal Wall teams would have done that, like won 50 games, because those teams were
won 49.
Yeah,
there was the year they won 49, and I want to say they rested their starters in either the last game or the second to last game of the season, and that was the season that they went.
It was a huge deal that they hadn't won 50 games.
Yeah, they could have won 50 games, or they also had, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that starting five had the highest net rating in the league, but our bench was like 28th.
Was it the funeral year where they were like showed up in all black?
Yeah, it was the year they lost to the Celtics in 7, the second round. That team was firing on all cylinders. They could have won 50 games. They had a big comeback, kind of like the Nats had the season that they won the World Series, where the Wizards started, I think, 2-9. And I think they ended up being like 3-11 or 3-12 or something. And they made a really big comeback in the season. They could have won 50 games. And for all intents and purposes, I mean, like, they then proceeded to crush the Hawks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And won 7 games in the second round.
Yeah, that
talent was there, but they just didn't win.
Fired.
Yeah. I'm going to look back at that team in 20 or 30 years, and I'm just going to forever be sad that they didn't even get a LeBron matchup in the playoffs. And that's what bugs me the most, that they never matched up with one of those.
Isaiah Thomas knocked him out of the playoffs. A guy my height knocked him out of the playoffs.
Kelly Olynyk knocked him out of the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas just kept him in the series.
That dude, I remember I was in Myrtle Beach when I watched whatever, I hate him, I'll say it, that motherfucker hit he didn't miss. Kelly Olynyk hit every single shot. And I was looking at I was like, is really Kelly Olynyk going to be the guy that beats the Wizards this game? And
was he the more handsome Kelly O in that matchup? No, he was not. Was he the more
he was the gross
one?
Well, that playoffs, he also pulled someone's shoulder. He had already injured someone in that playoff run. I'm pretty sure.
I think that was the previous year. That was the previous year, right? He injured Kevin Love.
Yeah. He had injured Kevin Love. That's what it was. But that still, that playoffs, he was already a villain. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Kelly Olynyk's been a villain for a while. He does the same shit that Zaza used to do, where he would do non-basketball plays that were really just assaulting people. Yeah. And I hate to say it, he's turned into a very good player. Kelly Olynyk is very good at basketball. I hate him. I hate him with every fiber of my being. I will never root for him.
As you should.
Yeah.
Although I'll take him on the Sixers. Best backup center they'll ever have.
Happy for you if it happens. Yeah, I think we've covered kind of the teams that we wanted to focus on. I can't really think of any others that, I mean, obviously we talked about the Wizards, one that was not on your list, Modi, but was on your list, Ferentinos. I kind of felt the same way about them. There's some others that we'll talk about maybe before the season, depending on how the Lonzo injury goes. Maybe we end up talking about the Bulls a little bit, but I think we're all good for this episode. As always, if you're watching us on YouTube, which is the only place that you can watch us because we're not on Vimeo or Daily Motion or eBombs World or Newgrounds. I don't know if all those exist anymore.
Oh, E-Bombs World. That is a flashback.
Little throwback for you, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
throwback.
For you.
That's what I meant.
That's for both of you. Make sure you click the like button. Make sure you comment below if there's any teams that you think are either going to implode or are going to have a much better season than predicted. Let us know what you thought of the episode. If there's anything you want us to talk about in future episodes, particularly while we're still in the preseason, please let us know so that we will talk about it. We will take audience questions. We'll definitely talk about any questions that we receive. If you have not already, click the subscribe button. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Give Go Show and on TikTok at The Give and Go Show. And we'll see you next time. I think that's it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
God, that's a long thing I got to go through. I fucking hate promoting our shit. See you guys next time.
You do a great job, GQ.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.